They're back. The guiltiness of having all these cables.
All from one drawer as well, this. No, headphones.
Tangled.
I bet one of them's broken.
The thing that annoys me about this is the cables aren't neatly wrapped. Because my drawer of doom, everything is very, very neatly wrapped. Although it is like a bit of a treasure trove. The cable I wanted, yeah, it's still there, but I've been told I'm not allowed it. Why are we showing you this nonsense? OK, it's because we're all guilty of stashing away unused cables, old phones, remote controls. It's a remote control thing, just makes no sense, but you can't...
Yeah, what would you do with this if you don't have the TV that goes with it?
But you can't... I don't know, you just think it's going to work with another TV. Maybe, you know, if you had 2 remotes per TV, it'd stop all the arguments.
Try them all.
Spring cleaning season, though, of course, so it's time to clear out the drawer of doom. And there's a report from the United Nations which warns we're generating electronic waste almost 5 times faster than we are recycling it. You get one thing. Harriet Bradshaw, our reporter's been finding out more.
Does this look familiar?
Everybody has piles of stuff. Things like old phones, stuff we used to listen to, cassette tapes, broken things, stuff you're worried about, well, is there data on it? I think back in the day my dad would have had a shed full of jars of screws, and the modern dad has a drawer full of 15 old mobiles.
New research by Material Focus suggests Paul is not alone in his hoarding habits of old electricals.
We've all probably got a drawer of doom which has got cables in there that we don't know what they're for. It's got a DVD remote for a DVD player that we lost a long, long time ago. And we reckon now it's over 880 million unused items are being held in people's homes. UK householders now seem to be holding on to 30 items, whereas 4 years ago it was around 20 items. So it seems to be growing as an issue.
So why should we care?
When we look at electrical items, there's lots of precious materials in there, lots of precious metals. If we can keep them in circulation, then it reduces the need to extract raw materials, which has an environmental impact.
But there are things we can do to give our electricals a new lease of life, such as sharing.
Welcome to Share Bristol Library of Things. Come on in. Thank you. We have got a lot of things that have been donated that we are going to be lending out to people when we open next month.
And repairing can keep things going too.
If I had to take that off, you can probably see it better.
Yeah, it's crap.
But some things just can't be fixed or reused.
Electric toothbrush, they just die, don't they? Games controller, something's gone wrong inside. Remote control from a service I do not have anymore. Earbuds, they're not holding charge. A games console that has been long replaced.
Oh, I think there is life, but not good life. Yeah, that's the sad thing. A lot of things can't be repaired and extend their life.
Yeah, I'd love to see manufacturers really stepping up here and making things that are designed to last longer and are durable, but also designing things that can be repaired.
It's the end of the road for these items. Or is it?
What can be salvaged from this?
Hey, thanks very much for the delivery. There's some really good stuff here, and the really good news is all electronics has got some great commodities and it's all very recyclable.
I've brought them here to a specialist electrical recycling centre.
Inside the Xbox, for example, there's quite a complicated circuit board that will have a little bit of gold, a little bit of copper, almost certainly a little bit of palladium. These guys here, they'll all have a little vibrating motor. The fan, there's lots of plastic, metals. These are a bit more challenging. Actually, there's a lithium battery in there, which is volatile and can catch fire if it gets damaged.
Right.
But it's the right place for managing that risk, and we'll hand process these.
So I'm told per year this plant recycles 25% of the UK's small household electricals. And just to give you a sense of scale, this here is just 1 day's worth of deliveries.
Justin has inspected these items and they're ready to be processed. And he's giving me a tour of the materials that come out the other end.
This is ferrous metal from copper motors and transformers. We have a process here that literally shreds these motors and armatures and transformers to separate the ferrous metal and separate the copper. Whenever there's anything complicated going on inside a computer, all the connections need to be finished with gold. This is all aluminium.
What we're doing is removing the lid.
And remember those headphones?
Soft lithium batteries, but both very recyclable.
So if you look at the electricals that we're throwing away and that we're holding on to, we think over £1 billion of value, treasure, is sitting there untapped. And the important thing is that that material is also quite crucial for the green technology future that we're aiming for. Copper and lithium are central to that green technology future too. So it's 1 billion of material value, but it can also contribute to a greener, more prosperous future for everybody.
The UN warns the world's generation of electronic waste is rising 5 times faster than documented e-waste recycling, raising the alarm that the precious treasures inside what we think is trash should be saved. Harriet Bradshaw, BBC News.
We're joined now by professional declutterer Sian Pelleschi. Good morning.
Good morning.
To you.
Good morning.
I think that's a really important point, that if we are going to do a clear out, then make sure it's recycled properly, obviously. The fact is, though, that doing a clear out, you have all good intentions.
You end up putting more back in than you take out.
Well, you end up, yes, you end up kind of clearing all out, and all this goes in the bin, and then you start sifting through and go, but that could come in useful, and that could come in useful. And we were just having a conversation about remote controls.
Yeah.
And some companies, if you return set-top boxes or whatever, if you don't return the remote control with it, which could be years down the line, then you get fined. So you need to be really careful.
You do, but it's also about really understanding what you're keeping and knowing that it has got a purpose. I mean, with those things where, you know, somebody might fine you later on down the line, it's very, very rare. That's 1 or 2 companies that I know of that do that. And actually, your time with them tends to be very short anyway, so you are likely to only keep them for maybe 1 or 2 years. But when it comes to other things, like all of this on the table, you know, people hold on to it because they think, oh, I might need that. I might need that at some point. And it's really about finding, you know, a place for everything in your home. Sometimes that isn't always possible. When it comes to electronics, there are so many ways now that you can recycle electronics that you couldn't do before.
Well, I was just looking in here, and there are some old mobile phones, and I bet people have got mobile phones, and you can return them to certain companies or charities, can't you? It's just getting round to it. Half the time, it's just getting round to it, isn't it?
That's it. It's finding that time. But actually, if you can be mindful about what you're doing and make sure that you actually put it so it's in a place where it's ready to go, whether it's in the boot of your car or by the front door, then you know that you're going to be able to get it out and get it to the place where it needs to be. And there are lots of charities now that recycle and repurpose the electronics that are being left
I suppose that's
behind.
the point, isn't it? If you felt it was going somewhere to either be reused or recycled, you'd be less worried about getting rid of it because it sort of has another purpose. Yeah. What are the rules? So when you're doing this, what do you tell people? You know, if you haven't used it for how long, you know, what should we be aware of?
I think you've got to be very mindful of what you're doing and why you're keeping it. So it's OK to have this drawer of doom where actually it could be a treasure trove because it could have all of the things that don't necessarily have a home anywhere else in the house, but you know where to go when you need to find that cable or that battery that you need for something.
I think we should rename it, because you said to me, why are you calling it? I said, well, I'm calling it the drawer of doom because everyone else calls it the drawer of doom. Yeah. I think it's the most useful drawer in my house.
Yours is quite neat, though.
It's neat, but it also has all the things, like, you know, like if you have headphones and the rubber bit drops off or breaks, the spares are in there. There's nowhere else to put the spares.
No.
Because you don't want to keep all the packaging.
Unless you have it in a little electrical box that you have that's set out specifically for that purpose. But if you don't have that and you don't have the space for that, or you can't be bothered doing that, then having that one little drawer of useful items, I think you have to rename it in your head as well, because let's not call it a drawer of doom, let's call it a useful space and really make the most of it. But make sure that it is organised in there so that you can see clearly what you've got.
I mean, we're talking here about a lot of tech stuff, and that clearly has a life beyond if it can be recycled. But, you know, that drawer has a load of other stuff in, doesn't it? It'll have an odd peg in, it'll have, you know, a lighter, a box of matches, things like that.
Paper clips.
Yeah.
Things inevitably work their way into these spaces, always. But it's important to be able to revisit it every now and again and just give it a bit of a clear out, make sure that you know what's in there, and then you know what's...
Have you got any rules on how... Like, do you know what I have in mine, which I can't throw away? The really tiny, sticky peel-off notes.
Yeah. The Post-it notes.
Well, I wasn't going to use the brand because other brands are available, obviously. But yes, it's like Hoover vacuum cleaner, isn't it? No, yeah, which, you know, a bit useless, and they lose their stickiness, and then I can't throw them away. So, and even when
Why
you get
can't
to,
you throw them away?
Because you've got 3 or 4 left because it's wasting paper.
So recycle them. There are elements of it you can recycle.
Yeah, but why throw something away why recycle something if you can use it?
Then use it.
But I don't need to use it yet.
Oh, I like this. Carry on.
I don't need to use it yet, but I might need to use it at some point. But it seems like a waste.
I think you have to be, again, it's coming back to that mindset of, you know, what's the purpose for this and what good is it doing me? Because if you're constantly worrying about the fact you've got these 3 little pieces left...
Well, I'd like to say, as damaged as this may be, I'm not constantly worrying about it. But it is there. It is there in the drawer. And I do think... And then they get grubby. The corners get grubby. And you think you're then wasting, because am I actually going to use the grubby one first?
So use it for a little notepad or something where you know that it can be just used and then recycled later.
But you see the issues, don't you?
Yes, I do, and I come across this all the time.
This is such an insight into your life this morning that we never expected to get, did we?
Yeah, it's not pleasant. Never mind. Sian, it's been a joy talking to you. Don't judge yourself too much. If it's useful, you know, we can be OK with it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sian Pelleschi, professional declutterer. Sian, we're not going to let you into my house to see the drawer.
Okay.
That's OK. But thank you.
Thank you.
So while we declutter all this stuff and get rid of some of it, let's get the news of travel and the weather where you are. See you soon.